These are themes we'll pick up, but Ziyanda, you know this quite well. As a reporter, you were there covering the Mkhwanazi Commission. I'd like you to pick up the story there before you tell us what we can expect on the billing today at the Madlanga Commission.
So everything that you and our analyst Eldred de Klerk are discussing is echoing what was in the recommendations made by the Mkhwanazi Commission. The first was to educate party members, political parties were to educate their members about democratic practices. But key to what the Mkhwanazi Commission found was that there was a lot of manipulation and corruption by politicians of our country's tender system. And that was at the root of the intra-party disputes that led to the killings of councillors. The other issue was also how inside political parties there was weak political leadership, and a failure of political management of issues is what led to this fierce and now deadly competition for tenders. And this is what Mkhwanazi reflected on yesterday, and it's concerning that this report was tabled before the then KZN Premier Willis Mkhunu, and the recommendations and findings don't seem to have been implemented, and yet we're ever so close to those 2026 local government elections in a political landscape where there's no longer one party that has a hegemony, and now the scramble for resources and the stakes are that much higher. So when you look at what Mkhwanazi is talking about, by the way, in that Mkhwanazi Commission, the South African Police Service also fell short. There was a specific chapter that dealt with how the police, through their deliberate actions or incompetencies, ignored the scourge of political killings. And this is what then Mkhwanazi is also echoing when talking about how there was interference on the part of Senzo Mkhunu, really reflecting on Section 205 of our Constitution, which outlines the powers of the South African Police Service and who runs things. And this was critical and understanding the powers and functions of the executive versus the police service, which is more operational, expressing concern that Senzo Mkhunu took a decision to disband that KZN political killings task team, seemingly without, consulting other members of the IMC, the Interministerial Committee, and not actually even getting a briefing from him or those involved in the PKTT, which is an operational matter. The key thing here as well, Iman, was the steps that Mkhwanazi took to inform those internally. He spoke to the National Police Commissioner, asked him to speak to Mkhunu. He asked the National Police Commissioner, when he didn't win with Mkhunu, to reach out to the President of the Republic, also saying that he went directly, Mkhwanazi, that is to Mkhunu, sent him a message on WhatsApp, did not get any kind of response or joy. And that's what led him then to knocking on the door of a Parliament's Portfolio Committee chairperson, Ian Cameron, who allowed him an audience before the committee on the 5th of March. Still, all the doors that he knocked on were not being answered. So today, when we pick up at 9:30 sharp, we expect to pick up on the issue of the dockets. And, what is in the dockets. Mkhwanazi ended off reflecting also what he had already told us on the 6th of July, that in those dockets, they were ready to make arrests. And as a result, on the first week, a week later rather, after the dockets had returned to the province, arrests were made.